Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, time for the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week is Wasted Space, number 2 from Vault Comics. I adore this book. When I read issue 1, I was very, very impressed. It was a very rich world, a very interesting story, a very cool tale. It's basically about this dude who was a prophet of the creator of this galactic empire, whatever it is, right? This sci-fi world that's being built up by writer Michael Morrissey. And it's great. It's really cool. It's a little subversive. It's got a lot of humor in it. But it's really great. Lots of cool ideas. It's got, in my opinion, great artwork by Hayden Sherman with colors by Jason Wordie and fantastic lettering by Jim Campbell. The artwork is not your typical comic book fare, but it works so well for the story, for the grittiness involved, for the edginess of the world. So I really liked issue number 1. Look at that cover right there. But issue 2 was even better. The story came more clear, more focused, more tight, and right in there, and the characters really start resonating true, and the threat really starts building up. Vault Comics has been doing amazing stuff right now with sci-fi and fantasy books, really cool independent type stuff. This Wasted Space is seriously one of the best ones they get out so far. Issue 1, issue 2, even better. Pick of the week right there from Vault Comics. And Vault Comics has some more releases. We'll get to those in just a minute, but you know I gotta talk about Justice League number 1. Scott Snyder's Justice League is finally here. No Justice was just the appetizer to whet our appetites for this right here, the granddaddy of them all. Scott Snyder's Justice League. I read it. I really did like it. I liked it a lot. Big, epic in scope. Some crazy things happened that I hope will be addressed. Really nuts. So you got to read this one like you read Metal, like you read No Justice. It's just balls to the wall, action, superhero fun. Crazy stuff, but the characters are still iconic and they represent exactly what they're supposed to. I really like the spotlight now on John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. He's back in the Justice League, and of course the chairman again, so it really does spotlight him. It sets up this whole Lex Luthor Legion of Doom thing very interestingly. I thought it was a really cool bit that happened here. Jim Cheung's artwork is brilliant. I loved it. It was amazing. It's epic. It's huge. It's got lots of really cool throwbacks to some DC stuff from back in the day, and it really sets up some cool stuff to come, especially with the Legion of Doom and Martian Manhunter and the Justice League. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really, really good. Also from DC, we got the second issue of Brian Michael Bendis' Man of Steel is here. This time we got Doc Chenier, Jason Fabok, and Steve Rude on the artwork. The only problem with that is that Steve Rude's artwork at the end of this issue feels a little inconsistent. Other than that, I thought this was a splendid issue. I liked it a lot. Bendis is continuing to build his vision of Metropolis in Superman's world. The character still rings true. Bendis got a great understanding and grip on the character, on his dialogue, how lighthearted he is, how everything's kind of easy to him. He's kind of this easy breezy guy, right? So, because he's indestructible, he's invulnerable, right? Things like that. But seriously, the casual coolness of Superman is present here. It starts addressing a little bit more of the Lois Lane mystery, and it does start addressing about what is the Daily Planet's place in 2018. I really like it. I thought it was really cool stuff. It builds a little bit more on that mystery of what exactly happened to Krypton when it exploded. I just think that at the end, it seems like Steve Rude's artwork is a little rushed, and it kind of threw me out towards the end of the issue. But all in all, I thought it was a really good, solid issue, building on the mystery that has been set and continuing on this really cool Superman story that I'm having a lot of fun with. Speaking of a lot of fun, Batman 48 was a lot of fun. This is the first part of The Best Man. This is the Batman getting married prelude story that involves the Joker coming after Batman. It's got artwork by Michael Janin. The artwork is fantastic. It's brilliant. It's great. The way that he draws the Joker in particular is fantastic. Tom King's script is really, really good. Almost every line of dialogue is from the Joker. It's basically a big fight scene, but it's funny and it makes sense and it's sick and twisted all at the same time. I love Tom King's characterization of the Joker, the way that he writes him, the dialogue, the way that he speaks. I love the pacing of this issue. I love the repeated lines of dialogue. It really rings true, almost like a psalm from the Bible. like a wicked version of a song from the Bible. But Batman 48, I really like it. Who knows what's really going to happen with this Batman Catwoman wedding, but the lead up to it has been really, really cool so far lately in Tom King's Batman. The unexpected #1 is here. Another new Age of Heroes book from DC. I typically don't really like a lot of work by Steve Orlando, the writer, but I really did enjoy this issue. It had some really cool, crazy concepts that I liked a lot, tied into metal more than almost any of these other New Age of Hero books that have come across. But I really did like it. It's got artwork by Ryan Sook, and I really like the artwork at the first half, and then Gary Nord comes in, and just some other people, and it kind of gets a little inconsistent and wonky in its artwork, but I love this issue in particular because of the concept, because of the story. The main character, Firebrand, right there, she's got, her heart is a conflict engine, so she has to feed it violence like once a day or something to keep it going and stay alive. Things like that, crazy cool Kirby, Crackle type things, and a tie-in to metal, a big tie-in to metal right there. I liked it. I liked Unexpected. And to me, that was unexpected. Batman Prelude to the Wedding. Nightwing versus Hush is here. Last week, we had the Robin versus Rachel Gould. Tim Seeley is doing the series of one-shots, kind of just leading up the tensions into the Batman Catwoman wedding. I didn't like the one last week. I didn't like this one even more. I really didn't like it. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to like talk too much crap about it, but it's like, so it's like Batman's bachelor party, and it's him, Superman, Nightwing, and they're like in costume, and it felt doofy to me, and I don't know, it's got Hush in it. That's kind of cool. Curse of Brimstone #3 is here. You know, the live chat that we did this last Sunday, we got another one this Sunday, but a lot of you guys out there are not liking Curse of Brimstone, but I'm loving it, and I loved issue 3. I really did. I thought it's Philip Tan's best artwork of his career. I really like the grittiness of it. It's like edgy, and it just so fit for the tone of this story. It's energetic and dynamic when it needs to be, but it's really creepy and just unclear at times when it needs to be. But I'm liking the story. The characters in the story, I guess, are simple enough, but I really like the texture and feel of the artwork and the tone and atmosphere of the story that it provides. I'm loving Curse of Brimstone, absolutely. Let's go over to Marvel, because they got this book right here, Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk #1. So Al Ewing decided, you know, what if Hulk was like a horror comic? And other writers have done this in the past, and I personally like Hulk better when it's treated like a horror comic, absolutely. John Byrne had a good stab at it. Bruce Jones had a good stab at it. But it always seems like those kind of runs get written out very quickly by Marvel editorial later on. So Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing, Hulk is back. The big twist on this is that the Hulk doesn't die, right? So Hulk doesn't die. So if you shot and killed Bruce Banner, when Nightfall came, the Hulk would rise again. And so that's what this book is, and it's a horror comic. Now, Joe Bennett does the artwork, and I was really, really hesitant about that because I didn't think that if you're trying to do a Hulk horror comic book that Joe Bennett's where to go. Nah, it works, and it works exceptionally well. It's really cool. It's very dark. It's... At first, okay, so I'm starting to read this book, and I'm like, oh, this is all right. John Byrne kind of had a scene like this at the start of his run, and that was good with Ron Garney and blah, blah, blah. And then it just completely got me because the way that it's doing this it's more like, when I say it's a horror comic, don't think like a big monster, but think more like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but just a little bit more menacing and creepy. I really, really like it. And Joe Bennett's artwork, especially when the Hulk shows up in this issue, it's detailed, it's creepy. He is just so evil looking, and I really, really liked it. And it was not what I was expecting, but I thought by the end of this, I was hooked. I'm very, very excited to see what Al Ewing is going to be doing with the Immortal Hulk. Another book that hugely surprised me is Doctor Strange #1. This came close to making the pick of the week. Seriously, this is probably my #2 pick of the week. This Doctor Strange book came out of nowhere, and I thought it was amazing, fantastic. Written by Mark Waid with artwork by Jesus Saez. The artwork is majestic. It's glorious. It is so beautiful, lush, rich. The story is dense. It really harkens back to an old school comic book feel where there was a lot of meat to the story, a lot of characterization, a lot of narration that involved that characterization. I loved it. It was great. It didn't feel wordy and overly verbose. It didn't feel like it just bogged down. It felt fresh. It felt light. It felt crisp, but it had a lot of depth to it, a lot of richness, a lot of density to the script and narration that I just loved and adored. And you put that in with Saez's artwork, and it just blew me away. Oh my goodness, I loved this book so much. Yes, yes. And Jesus colored the book himself too. It is beautiful. It's cool. Basic twist is that it's Doctor Strange in space. But that doesn't even matter. This book is eloquently rendered. craftfully, like expertly paced and crafted, and just a splendid Marvel comic. Seriously, old school comic book fans, old school Doctor Strange fans, just fans of comic books and superheroes, read that. It's good. I really liked it. Another book I really liked is this one right here, Deadpool #1. So Scotty Young is now here on Deadpool. This is Marvel Fresh Start, by the way. We're kicking it all in full swing. And once again, we got new #1s, but we do got the legacy numbering. 301 for Deadpool, 391 for Doctor Strange, and 718 for Hulk. So I guess Immortal counts as incredible. But Deadpool #1, now we got Scotty Young on the artwork and somebody Klein. Is it Nick Klein? The artwork is really good in this issue. I thought it was really, really good, and it helped sell the issue series. Yeah, Nick Klein is the artist, and I was very, very impressed with it, actually. Scotty Young. Deadpool's usually a character that I don't really typically like and just kind of usually annoys me, but I liked it here. It was fine. It does have a little bit, it seems like it's tying into the new movies because it's got Negasonic Teenage Warhead. He's back to being a merc for hire. I guess he wiped his brain. I don't know if that happened at the end of the last issue, at the last run, or in between the runs, but Deadpool doesn't really remember much of his past, and he's back to basics, merc with a mouth, right? But I liked it. It was funny. It's a Deadpool book. It was light. It wasn't super serious, but it was a fun book with really, really cool artwork that I really, really enjoyed. So I liked the Deadpool book again. Isn't that crazy? Ant-Man and the Wasp #1 is here from Mark Waid and Javier Garron. I really like the artwork in this book. I did not like the story so much. It's all right. This is basically capitalizing on that Ant-Man and the Wasp movie coming out. So now you got Scott Lang, and we got Hope. Not Hope. Hope's from the movie. That's Nadia. I really was a fan of the Unstoppable Wasp book that was written by Jeremy Whitley that starred Nadia. She was a great character. But it's like the character has been changed to fit more of what Hope is in the movie, to have that, like, slightly like that Sam Diane kind of dynamic with Scott, but it's just weird, and I didn't really like it. Maybe they're trying to go more with like a Kate and Clint type thing, but it's so against the character of Nadia that it kind of struck me off. Like, I just didn't really like it that much at first, and it just felt like they were kind of forcing it to fit a mold, to kind of tie it in a little bit more thematically with the upcoming movie. Other than that, it had some cool ideas in the story. I mean, it wasn't a bad comic. Dazzler, though, #1, this one-shot, was nothing other than not a bad comic. It was amazing. It was brilliant. I loved Dazzler so much. It's just a one-shot, basically setting up the character because she's going to be appearing in Astonishing XMen next month. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. It's a cool take on Alison Blair, what she does and who she is. She's kind of trying to let go of the past, of all the disco stuff, of all the X-Men stuff, and then, of course, it all comes right back. But I loved it. I thought it was great. Fans of like things like Jim and the Holograms, if you like fans of like the Kelly Thompson stuff like that, check this book out. It's written by Magdalene Visaggio. She does an amazing job. Absolutely brilliant. Love the art. The artwork is by Laura Braga with Rochelle Rosenberg doing the coloring. I really liked it. Lots of bright, vibrant colors. Great story. Simple, nice, brisk pace to it with a nice wrap up and morale at the end. I loved it. Dazzler was super cool. It's got me even more pumped for the next issue of Astonishing X-Men. We'll get to Astonishing X-Men in just a minute. Infinity Countdown #4 is here. Best issue of the series yet. Lots of things are going on. This is basically leading into that Infinity Wars story. So Gary Duggan's been doing a good job with the Guardians and cosmic stuff, at least in my opinion. I like what's going on here. Big developments in the Galactus story, so Galactus fans, Galactus watchers, pay attention to that. If you're a Cosmic Marvel fan, you're definitely going to be checking this book out. Got a lot of Guardians in it, a lot of where the stones are, and they're already switching a lot of hands. Some interesting concepts, but so far, so good. I'm liking Infinity Countdown. Just kind of get me pumped to see what's going to happen. Hunt for Wolverine continues on with the Weapon Lost #2 out of 4, right? This one's written by Charles Soule with artwork by Matteo Buffagnini and Jim Lampetis on the coloring. I really like the artwork in this, and this was actually a good issue. I was not impressed with hardly any of these Hunt for Wolverine books so far, but the second issue of this is kind of cool. It does tie into all those, remember all those Where's Wolverine little post-credit scenes or whatever? It ties into that a little bit, and I thought that was cute and kind of fun. But it's all right. It's a nice little detective story. They're trying to find Wolverine. Are they going to see him? I don't know, but the ending is very intriguing. I'm going to say that. So let's talk about Astonishing X-Men. #12 is here. It's Charles Soule's final issue, and I'm so thankful. I have not liked this book. I have stuck with it just to see what was going to happen. I thought it had a lot of potential at first because it does involve some of my favorite characters. Bishop, Archangel, come on, right? But ultimately, this book disappointed me. It brought back Charles Xavier in a really weird, wonky way, and it leaves it all dangling in a really weird, wonky way. I am super pumped for the next issue when Matthew Rosenberg comes in and Dazzler joins the team, along with Havoc and Beast and Colossus. That's exciting. XMen Red is here with issue number 5. This book has been losing me a little bit. I don't know why. I like the concept. I like the idea. I like the characters. I like the script. I like everything about it. Just it doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel epic. It doesn't feel like tied together. They get this thing going on with the villain, and I get all that. And there's the interesting things going on with the Sentinels where they're using like nano Sentinels to basically turn people into mutant-hating people, and they're committing these terrible acts of violence against mutants. And it's interesting. It's got some big moments, but I don't know. I think that I just don't know if the art has ever really sold me. Azrael's artwork is okay, but at times it just feels a little flat. It doesn't really convey the epicness and the hugeness of this story, or at least what I think it should deserve, because is this the flagship X-Men book right now? I guess that's still gold, obviously, but Red is a lot of people's favorites right now, but it's just kind of losing me a little bit. But I do hear that they just announced new artists. And let's talk about Captain America 703, the penultimate issue of Mark Waid's run on the title. Fill-in stuff, but it's great. It's fun. Leo Romero on the artwork is fantastic. It's a story set in the future. Red Skull is involved, though. It's got great stylized artwork. If you liked what he did with Samney, you're going to love what he's doing with Romero. I really like this issue. Really cool, intriguing story. Let's talk about more Vault comics. Vagrant Queen #1 is out this week from Magdalene Visaggio, the writer of the aforementioned Dazzler one-shot that I liked. And I really like Vagrant Queen #1 as well. Vault is just on a streak this year. Straight up. A great streak. It's a cool sci-fi book with interesting characters and a nice, cool, easy breezy plot, but it's got a lot of characterization in it, and it says a lot, and I liked it. Really cool. I'm just going to read the thing on the back. Child Queen, Elida, was driven from her throne at age 10, forced to wander the galaxy, evading the revolutionary forces that wanted her dead. Now she has returned to her former kingdom to stage the rescue of her long-lost mother. They took her throne, and she told them to keep it. And that's what really is endearing about this book is the main character. It's just that attitude that she has, and it's awesome, and it works so well. It's a very fun story with a lot of like humor to it, but a lot of action as well. And seriously, I'm loving it. Vault Comics doing amazing work, just like Songs for the Dead #3, the penultimate issue, at least of the first volume of Songs for the Dead. I'm loving it. Great fantasy story involving necromancy and just cool kind of like medievalism and that type of politics. Really cool stuff. I like it. Andrea Fort, Michael Christopher Herron are the writers. Sam Beck is the illustrator, and Antworld Designs lettering is fantastic. I like this book. It's good. It's got a lot of density in it as well as far as the script goes. It's got a lot of meat in there, and I really, really like that. It's humorous. It's got a nice light tone, but it gets dark and appropriately so at the right moments. Really intriguing characters, really great story. Vault Comics doing some amazing stuff. Dark Horse Comics has brought us Sword Daughter #1 from writer Brian Wood and artist Mac Chatter. Really impressed with this one. I thought it was really cool. It's kind of set around like 1000 AD, and it's a neat kind of like folklore-y type tale. It's really cool, but this village gets destroyed basically, except for this one girl survives. She's 2 years old, and her father survives, but he's just sleeping for 10 years, and then 10 years later he wakes up, and now it's about their relationship type thing. So it's kind of like about like that story about the estranged father and all that kind of jazz, but he was sleeping for 10 years, and it's really weird. And that's the fantastical element of it. But otherwise, I really like it. A great script, great artwork. Thought it was really solid. Definitely worth you checking out. Sword Daughter #1 out this week. Death or Glory #2 is out this week from Image Comics and Rick Remender and artist Bengal. I didn't like this one near as much as I liked issue 1. But issue 1 had a great setup. One of the best things about this book is the way that Bengal's artwork shows that dynamic energy that's needed to show like speed and motion. And I didn't feel a lot of that in this issue. It had some like weird moments that just kind of didn't, I don't know. I just didn't really like this one as much as I liked issue 1, seriously. But Paper Girls #21 was awesome, and it's back. Brian K. Vaughan, Cliff Chang, and Matt Wilson's masterpiece, Paper Girls, a time travel, sci-fi, weird extravaganza that never disappoints, even when you don't understand what's going on. This book is complex, but it's got great characters that shine bright with realistic dialogue, great interaction, and just a fantastic dynamic all the way through. Everything about Paper Girls is brilliant. That book deserves every bit of praise that it's getting. As well as Isola. Isola #3 is here. This book is fantastic from writers Brendan Fletcher and Carl Keschel, and the artwork is by Carl Keschel and Mosaic. Seriously, beautiful, luscious artwork, deep, rich colors, and a deep, rich story that's just got this amazing looking tiger in it. Seriously, the story becomes way more clear. It moves forward a lot in this issue, but it's great artwork. It's got a lot of space to breathe. The colors are very vivid and just beautiful. This book is luscious. It's a great fairy tale for almost everybody. Seriously, check out Isola if you haven't already. Dark Arc number 7 is another book that just continues to amaze me. Writer Cullen Bunn's script is tight and it's just perfectly paced, and Wando's artwork is just beautiful, brilliant, luscious colors, setting tone, setting atmosphere, dark, depressing, but just epic and majestic and fun all at the same time. Dark Arc is amazing. If you haven't heard me talk about it, it's about the evil arc in the Noah's Ark story. There was another arc with like monsters, vampires, werewolves, dragons, beasts, you know, things like that. And what's going on now in the story and how it's continued on from the first arc is really engaging, really enthralling. I like it a lot. Go Power Rangers continues the Shattered Grid story with issue number 10 out this week. The Ranger Slayer makes another appearance, and we get an appearance of her Zord, which they called the Grave Zord. Was that what she called it? Something like that. I gotta find that real quick because I want to let you know. Pretty sure she called it the Grave Zord, and it is awesome. It's the Grave Zord, right? Because it's a bunch of different Zords all put together. Yes, the Grave Zord right there on the cover. Oh my goodness, you can see White Tiger, Red Dragon. This is a Power Ranger fan's dream. This is seriously the best Power Rangers stuff they've ever done with Mighty Morphin. Have been in the pages of these comics. Ryan Parrott has been doing an amazing job right in conjunction with Kyle Higgins on his book. Dan Moore's artwork, crisp, clean, just perfect. Seriously, Power Ranger fans, we have exactly the book we want. Took a while for it to get there for me, but this whole Shattered Grid stuff's been amazing. Zero Jumper number 2 is here from Alterna Comics. They're the ones that do the newsprint comics. This is only $1.50, but it's printed on newsprint, but I really like this one. Patrick Mulholland did a great job in the first one setting up the story, does a great job continuing that story in issue number 2. Another great comic book that expresses motion just so perfectly, eloquently, and fluidly in comic book form. Brilliant, beautiful colors that one day I want to see this on some nice glossy paper, and maybe I'll pay for a premium format trade paperback, because seriously, this artwork is fantastic. Look at that action there. Look at that pacing. Look at the way that's told. That's brilliant sequential storytelling, especially with an action scene, and that is in the pages of Zero Jumper. And finally, let's talk about the last issue of Koshki the Deathless. This book started off the year as the pick of the week, and it does not disappoint. It's great. This whole tale of Koshki, who was just kind of an auxiliary character in the Hellboy tale, his whole story has been fleshed out now, and now it gets to a point where we know where we've already seen him in Hellboy, and it leaves it dangling for future stories in a very rich new folklore world that Mike Mignola has created right underneath the vein of Hellboy. Koshki did not disappoint. This book is amazing. Ben Stenbeck on the artwork is seriously the best person in the spirit of Mike Mignola. A lot of great artists have worked on the Hellboy universe books with Mignola and have done an amazing job, but I don't think anybody's done as better of a job as Stenbeck has, except for maybe Dave Stewart, because there would be no Hellboy without Dave Stewart. Colors shine, beautiful, seriously the best colorist in the industry. Beautiful, dark, deep, melancholy, atmospheric comic books. That's what Mike Mignola does. That's what Dark Horse does over in the Mignola-verse. So that's what I read this week, and that's what I thought about it. Sword Daughter is worth checking out. Songs for the Dead, Vagrant Queen, Wasted Space, Vault Comics seriously wins this week. Marvel's got some great stuff. Justice League is big and epic. Man of Steel continues on. Immortal Hulk, Doctor Strange, huge surprises and unexpected. Me liking it was very unexpected. And the Deadpool. What? Anyway, that's what I thought. What'd you think? What'd you read? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out the videos. Be sure to join us this upcoming Sunday for another Robbie Rants Live here at the channel, 7 o'clock Central Time. Also, we just launched our merch store. There's a link in the description down below so you can get some Pop Culture Philosophers t-shirts and stickers and hoodies, whatever you want, anything if you want it, and you'll help support us here at PCP. So thank you guys so much for everything. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading.